How we doing today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Man Corpus Christi. We're back here talking today with Mila Homan from Moms for Liberty. She's going to give us some information about what's been going on with some of the wild accusations that are going on over on CCISD. She's also had some meetings with several of the different members of CCISD, and we're going to go through that and talk about who she talked to and how those meetings went and everything else. But real quick, just for a quick interruption here for a second, you're going to see a little clip here about our t-shirt website. I'll be right back, guys. Hey guys, Jesse here real quick. I interrupt your video to let you know that if you guys want to help us support the channel, I did start a Teespring store. I've only got a couple of t-shirts on there right now. Fauci as a duplicitous dwarf, which is something I got off of Twitter, and our conservatarian shirt that you've seen me wear a few different times. So if you guys want to really help out the channel and help it grow and make this a little bit more full-time for me, help us get better equipment, that kind of stuff, go check out the Common Man Corpus Christi on Teespring, and the link will be in the description. But yeah, go over and pick up a t-shirt, and if we can get this thing going, or if you guys got any really cool t-shirt ideas that you want to see, shoot me a message and we'll try to hook it up and see what we can do. So once again, check out the Common Man Corpus Christi on Teespring. Help support the channel. Thanks, guys. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Okay, so now that you've listened to my rant on the t-shirts, so like I said, back here again, we're here with Mila Homan for Moms for Liberty. She's going to tell us some of the stuff that she's been having some issues with CCISD, and she's going to give us some updates on that and what she's seen and what's going on. So Mia, can you give me some information on like your background and where you come from and why like a lot of this indoctrination and why this stuff really kind of worries you? Because I believe you're not from the United States originally, are you?
No, I'm from Russia. I was born and raised in Russia, and I moved here 10 years ago, and I have been a United States citizen for a little over 2 years right now. I've been legal this whole time. I was just a green card holder. So in Russia, why it's problematic to me, why I just want to shake people and be like, wake up, is because what year were you born in? If you don't mind, sorry. Okay, let me rephrase that question.
Late 80s. Okay, so you actually so you were there before the wall came down?
Yes. Okay. I was a little baby, so I was not very aware of what's going on. However, I remember that, you know, our family activity in the evening, and that is not a joke, we would be cutting the old newspaper into the little squares like that, and we would be like, you know, softening it up, sitting like in the living room as a family to use it as toilet paper. And I'm only giving you this example because with Corona, everyone was freaking out about the toilet paper. So that's what we were doing back, you know, in the USSR then, and we would just, you know, stack it up in the bathroom, and that was normal. And why? Because our government decided how much toilet paper you need per family and which manufacturers are allowed to produce toilet paper, and there were two kinds, guys. So you didn't get your little like 3-ply with the clouds on and, you know, I don't know, rose scent or whatever you're using. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, and when you're out, you cut up the newspaper and you just soften it up, and you know you're good. That's kind of what was happening. On top of, you know, we couldn't watch every movie, every book. It had to go through a certain, you know, committees, whatever. They would have to make sure that, you know, they look through the book, look through the movie, make sure you don't get, you know, wrong thoughts out of it. And that's messed up. That is messed up. And when I see it here, when they basically, you know, a person goes to some kind of training, they don't know what's going to happen, and they start telling them about white privilege and white fragility, and they feel trapped and they cannot leave. I mean, I see a problem with that.
Right. So because I'm sure you probably heard lots of stories from your parents growing up and stuff like that about how really bad it was during like the really rough times. Do you have any examples of stuff like that?
The most messed up part for me. So I'm from a town called Yekaterinburg. That's where I went to college. And there's a monument, a giant monument outside of that town. It's called To the Victims of Communism. And it has like a very long list of names just of the people who, you know, said a wrong joke in their kitchen, and their neighbors and their family, their own family, your closest friends would go and report you for a joke that you said in your own kitchen. and then someone would come knock on your door, and sometimes your family would never see you again. And that's what happened, guys. And that's how they would talk about cancel culture. Well, how they cancel is just that you stand against the wall and then bam, and then there's your name on the monument. But point is, no matter, I mean, the facts are out now. It's available, right? But still, to this very day, there's about 18% of people in Russia that vote for Communist Party of Russian Federation.
Still.
It is messed up. Why? And there's no arguing with them. That's like my grandparents', generation. There's no arguing with them. They say communism was good. Stalin cared about us. Well, yeah, it took killing a couple of people, but oh well.
Yeah.
That's how we,
just tens of millions.
We knew our neighbors. We weren't looking out for each individual. We weren't looking out for just myself. We were like a whole big community. It was great. So that's what indoctrination does to you. That's what it does, and it's really messed up that they want to do this to our kids.
Yeah, so even after all
Yes.
these years and all the history and all the information that we all everything we know,
I would have fights with my own grandma about it. She's like, I
So
don't want to hear about it.
Your own grandmother still votes for, or still voted for the Communist Party. Wow. So even after all these years, the indoctrination is so bad that it's still embedded in them.
Yes, sir.
That's insane. Holy crap.
Yeah.
All right. What was some of the things you saw going on inside of CCISD that made you worry and made you want to reach out to the rest, or reach out to the district and see what's going on? What was some of the warning signs? What's some of the stuff that worried you that you saw?
Well, first of all, Moms for Liberty as an organization, Moms for Liberty, I'm a vice chair of Moms for Liberty in Nueces County, Corpus Christi. And we advocate for parental rights, and we kind of try to figure out what's going on at our schools and let people know. And so, parents get involved and they're aware of what's happening to our children. We say that your parental rights don't stop at the door when you drop off your kids. We want it to think that everything's fine. We drop them off and the teachers have their best interests in mind. They teach them well and we pick them up and things are good. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So Moms for Liberty, we have been fighting the mask mandates. We have been fighting the sex ed, and we have been fighting the CRT, critical race theory. I personally got involved more with critical race theory, and we, unfortunately, lots of folks think that, it's not here, but it is here. We found that one of the assistant principals former assistant principal at Fay Webb Elementary, Miss Kimberly Ellis, formed a diversity, equity, and inclusion department at her school, and she was doing the privilege walk activity with them.
Now, with the privilege walk, was that something involving students, or was just something that was like staff and teachers and stuff like that were participating?
That involved staff only, and from what I gathered, there are volunteers.
And kind of give us a breakdown of what a privilege walk is for anybody that doesn't know. What's a privilege walk?
So people stand in one line, and there's multiple versions of it, but all of them include race, this way or the other. Although the superintendent, Roland Hernandez, wants to say otherwise, but unfortunately that's not the case. So, and there's a list of questions, and you go like, okay, so if you're white male, take one step forward. If you're gay, take one step back. If your parents were immigrants, take one step back. If your parents have a college degree, take one step forward. And at the end, everyone ends up at the different spot, and it's meant to make you woke.
So basically, this is like something that they're dividing everybody up by like race, and they're dividing everybody up by like all of
Sex,
these
gender, everything. That's yes.
Right. So they're dividing people up by like these nonsensical applications. Instead of judging people by the content of their character, they're judging people by all of these things all of these different things that they can't control and that they have no effect on, as to whether or not that their parents had a college education or how they grew up or what race they are or anything else.
Exactly. That's the point of. I mean, I feel that the purpose of this activity is to divide people and make them hate each other. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I can't see anything but divisiveness coming out of something like that. Okay, so that was some of your initial concerns. Was there anything else besides the privilege walk that you were seeing that kind of made you uncomfortable?
That's elementary school. At the middle school level, at hospital, we found out that the book and the movie, The Hate You Give, it's called Thug, was brought to 8th graders. And the book is pure BLM propaganda. It is disturbing, and also the language is very questionable there, and it was completely inappropriate. So the parent reached out to the teacher, the parent reached out to the principal, and the parent reached out to the district. And at the district level, Dr. Cynthia Hernandez, which is Dr. Roland Hernandez's wife, said that the book is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very relevant. And again, there's nothing. For some reason, there's no email about it, there's nothing. So it's a verbal conversation, and the parent was very upset and disappointed that that's the response from the district that she got. And the parent's husband has been a police officer for 25 years, so it was insulting to her and it was hurtful. I'm sorry, it really was. But, at the district level, they said, well, the book is relevant, so that's it.
Can you cite some specific things out of the book that was objectionable to you guys? Anything you can remember from the book that was specific that was really upsetting?
Well, in the book, I don't have quotes, but what happens in the book, basically, there's this young black man gets shot by the police officer because he gets pulled over, and he has a problem with how he got pulled over and why. So he starts acting a little like, he's driving with this girl, and he goes like, well, why did they pull over? He starts being pretty rude to a police officer, and the police officer asked him to get out of the car, and the girl that he was riding with, she was saying, okay, well, just keep cool, because she was trained by her dad on how to act appropriately, but he wasn't. He's like, oh, no, chill, like, it's all cool, and he's reaching for his hairbrush, and the police officer very reasonably thinks that he's reaching for a gun, and he shoots him.
Wow. So for anybody that's not aware, I'll look it up and I'll link the story down in the description. But that is an almost identical propaganda piece based on an incident that happened. I believe it was either Michigan or Wisconsin. I think it was Michigan that it might have been Wisconsin. This one actually might have been the Kenosha situation. But it was the guy that had a knife and was reaching into his glove box for something when the cops shot him. That was the same guy that was trying to steal his girlfriend's car with the kids in it when the police shot him. So it sounds like we'll look this book up and I'll link it down in the description, but it sounds like this is a propaganda piece from that exact same situation. So yeah, Black Lives Matter propaganda indeed. Okay. So you guys had these concerns with the school. So what was one of the first meetings you had, and how did that go, and who was that with?
First meeting we had with...
Because you had 3 meetings, right?
Yes, we had 3 meetings. First meeting was with Miss Kimberly James, and she is Deputy Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. And that meeting went very well, I think. She was understanding of our concerns. She was very open to answer any questions that we had. And quote, she said, with that situation, with the book, the Thug book, they dropped the ball. To which,
So they admitted that this book wasn't really appropriate.
Well, Ms. James, in my understanding, admitted that this book was not appropriate, and she personally did not find it proper or relevant, I guess. And also, Ms. James' husband is a police officer.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure it kind of got a little personal to her as well. So I felt that meeting I left with a good feeling. I was
Right.
like, okay, well, they recognized, and we agreed on, she asked us what we could do to move forward from this, and I suggested that maybe we could issue a statement. The CCISD could issue a statement, an official statement, saying that, hey, certain things happened, but we commit to be better. And I said, well, maybe it wouldn't hurt to throw in, just a nice shout out to the police and say, hey, we're not trying to teach the kids that, acting cool when the cops pull you over. And she kind of agreed, and it was nice. And we also discussed the privilege walk, because the other concern, like I said, I had with the privilege walk, and she said that she agrees with that as well, that this particular activity, well, not this particular activity, but that kind of activity, they are divisive, and she gave us her personal experience that she went to the meeting or some kind of workshop, and there were this whole white fragility, white privilege talk, and she had no idea this would be happening, and it was very upsetting to her. But on the other hand, she learned that if it upsets you, that kind of proves that you are
racist.
A racist, yes. So she
It's
couldn't
leave.
It's
a never-ending cycle.
It is. It is a never.
That's how they do it. That's how they get you. That's how they get all of this stuff.
The interesting part, though, she said I couldn't. It was upsetting, but I couldn't leave, because if I were to leave, that would mean
that shows you're a racist.
So that's the whole white privilege, white fragility thing. It's a logical fallacy. It's a Kafka trap. So you cannot deny it, because denying that basically proves that it's messed up.
Yeah.
But if the person, at her level couldn't get up and leave, we have a problem. How, just your regular teachers feel when they're forced into something like that, and they don't have the courage to leave, because, at the end of the day, they have to feed their kids somehow, and they don't want to get fired.
So was that school district required training that she went through, or was that something she went to voluntarily?
No, that's something that she went to voluntarily, and she didn't know that would be happening.
Oh wow! But what was it like? Was it like a teacher's education kind of retreat or something like that?
It was. She said it was for early childhood education, because her experience.
Oh, so it was like a conference or something.
Yes, she used to be a principal at Veterans High School.
Right.
So she had no experience with early childhood education. So she was just wanting to be better educated.
So they're teaching this at early childhood education conferences for teachers.
Yes, and they don't advertise it. So you're there.
Well, of course they don't advertise
and
it.
And then you're trapped and you don't know what to do. They tell you about your white fragility, and you don't have the courage to leave because you have to feed your kids. And they would fire you and think that you're racist. No one wants to deal with that. So yeah, I guess that's what they do. And I don't know if it was. I think she said that it's just outside of what CCISD requires. But nevertheless, she found herself in that situation, and I feel her.
That's wild. That's nuts. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So you had another meeting. So who was your second meeting with, and how did that one go?
The second meeting was with Dr. Cynthia Hernandez, Dr. Katie Walker, and the principal of hospital where they brought the thug book, Anna Fuentes, I want to say, and that went. That went okay. I have to admit that they gave us plenty of time. That was an 1.5-hour meeting, so they heard us out. That was pretty cool.
How long was the first meeting, by the way?
It was 45 minutes.
Okay, so first one was 45 minutes. This one was an 1.5 hours. Okay.
Yes, that was an 1.5 hours, and there was 5 of us. So they heard us out. However, to me, it boiled down to I spoke with Cynthia Hernandez mostly because the parent, like I said, that reached out to the district about the thug book. She felt very, disrespected and disappointed in the response. And, so I was just trying to figure it out with Dr. Cynthia Hernandez, whether it was a misunderstanding of sorts or what's going on. So, and Dr. Cynthia Hernandez said that, look, I'm sorry. I said, do you approve the book? Because the parent, reached out to you, and the parents tells me that you approve of the book. So what's going on? She goes, well, I'm sorry that the parent got that impression. And I'm like, okay, so you do not approve of that book. She goes, well, I don't approve or disapprove of anything.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I got you.
That's a non-answer.
Yes. So she said, how about I say that, I'm sorry for that situation. And then she goes, have you read the book? I go, no, ma'am, I would not waste my time on such garbage, but I have watched the movie. She said, well, I would argue this is not BLM propaganda. And that's where I knew that, we have a problem. Because if it's not BLM anti-police propaganda to her, I don't even know what is there to discuss. But, that did it for me. And there's kind of that. Dr. Katie Walker, so we just kind of dissected that situation. They admitted that they, did everything that they could because there was COVID, things were complicated. So there was a very young, inexperienced teacher that made this book an option. It's in the TEKS, the self-selected reading is in the TEKS.
Oh, is that like one of those things where you get extra points for reading certain books?
So yes, I guess how it works is there should be a list of approved books,
right?
And the teacher would bring, 1, 2, 3, well, not 1, 2, 3, but 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then
right.
The students choose.
Oh, okay.
So they would tell me, well, the students chose a book. I said, well, 13-year-olds kind of make strange
poor
choices
decisions.
Sometimes. So we were kind of wanted to count on the teacher to not make it an option in the first place. Which didn't happen. But nevertheless, we have that problem. So the parent that reached out to the district felt like the district approved of that book, and then the district, in the face of Dr. Cynthia Hernandez, tells me that she didn't approve or disapprove of anything, and she's sorry that the parent got that impression.
So she doesn't approve or disapprove of the book.
Yes, but she's sorry that the parent got the impression that she approves the book. Yet she refused to say that she disapproves of the book.
Right, and the book's still on this suggested reading list for the kids in CCISD.
Well, they said it's not. So they said they are sorry for the situation. So they said that they will do their best.
So the book's no longer to be on the list?
Well, that's what they said, that with the COVID, they kind of didn't really have the resources that are normally available to them. So they were just,
the book just kind of slipped through.
They found whatever that was available to them. And I guess the 25-year-old communist teacher decided, oh, that's a great choice. Let's do that. There's a shooting in this town every week. Let's tell the kids, just act fool when cops pull you over. Yeah, right. That's a great choice.
Wow, that's insane. Okay, all right. Well, and I think for any of you that ever listen to Bob Jones's show, or if you ever watch listen to Sean Flanagan on Bob Jones' show on Thursday, you'll kind of probably already know a little bit about the next meeting that we're going to talk about. This was kind of the one that upset a lot of people. This is kind of what got this all kind of started and rolling as far as making me aware of the situation. So tell us what happened in the third meeting and who was that with. Because that you kind of moved your way up in the hierarchy of the school district, right?
Yes. They were also not very shy to remind us that in situations like this, we should follow the proper chain of command. And we tried, but since they blocked me on Twitter and things kind of got funky, that's why we were just doing whatever we saw fit. So the next meeting was with Dr. Roland Hernandez, the superintendent of CCISD. Unfortunately, he did not respond to my email requesting a personal meeting, but he responded to my friend's email, and we both got in. That meeting was with him, Dr. Hernandez, and there was Dr. John Presses and someone, Dr. Williams. I'm not sure about the name. I don't have, the reason is I don't have his card. So, and they were Dr. John Presses and the other gentleman that was there. They were really quiet. There was not much of a conversation going on.
And then who was the other lady that was with you? Who was?
She does not want.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine.
So that conversation was not so good. I did not enjoy it. I feel like, and I gotta say that we were warned multiple times that we are on the clock. It's 30 minutes.
So they only gave you 30 minutes to talk to them?
Yes, only
right.
30 minutes, and it's not enough time to cover everything. And Dr. Hernandez was very aware and use some techniques to just, talk about something I didn't ask him about. So we don't have time to discuss something that's important.
So tell us about the beginning of the meeting. You said there was some issue. Said that was kind of awkward with like you, and there was like 3 other guys in there with you, and just 1 other female, and then they kind of came in and kind of closed the door.
Yes, I found that very interesting. That it was, he made it very clear that me being there is kind of a favor because he prefers to meet one-on-one. Yet, no one told us that there would be 2 other gentlemen, males, in there, and for a guy who's so awfully aware of privileges, that was kind of funny that there were 3 males and 2 females, and behind the closed doors kind of makes one, so just the power dynamics was a little off, I want to say, and Dr. Hernandez made it pretty clear when we were discussing the privilege walk situation with Kimberly Ellis. He started talking about it as if it was done to the kids, which is luckily not the case yet. So I tried to correct him and say that, hey, let's talk about what actually happened with the situation that we have at hand, which is it happened with the staff, to which he totally pulled the Kamala Harris movement on me, and he was like, hold on, I'm talking. And you know what? I don't like that. I really did not like that. But yes, so that was just, I feel like that was done to set the power dynamics of that meeting. So he's the boss, and we're, I guess, just should follow his rules.
Right, you're just lowly peasants. Right.
Well, yes.
And he's the ruling class. He's the educated one. He knows better than you. He went to school for this kind of stuff, right? Right. You're just the silly parent. You don't know how to raise your kids, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
What do we know?
Right. Okay. So did you feel you got anything productive out of that meeting at all? Was there any bright spots? Was it just a lot of negativity? Like what else happened in the meeting besides?
Well, I figured where the problem is, and the problem is him, and I feel like he doesn't, this whole woke agenda, he doesn't, I guess, feel courageous enough to just push it.
Right.
But he's also, doesn't really oppose for it to slowly be integrated.
Right.
Through Kimberly Ellis and her diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. When we discussed the privilege walk, he had no problem with that. And like I said, he thought that we're talking about the kids doing that. So he said, quote, that's an activity that people do. He said, that's a perspective. Well, duh, thank you. And that's kind of what I got. So he doesn't per se have a problem with it. And he tried to tell us that what makes you think that it has anything to do with race, which is just BS.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about this paper that he gave you that was his counter argument to the fact that they're not teaching critical race theory to our kids.
He was kind enough to give us this little paper, and it's about understanding the difference between critical race theory and educational equity. And it explains it talks about House Bill 3979 and what CRT is and all of that fun stuff.
And who published that? Who produced that document?
That is,
I think it says
TASB.
TASB. Okay.
That is
Texas Association of School Boards or something, maybe?
Yes.
Something like that?
Something like that. And I mean, I appreciate the effort on educating me what CRT is. I went to the Capitol twice to talk to the author of House Bill 3979, Steve Toth, and we discussed it quite a few times. So there's no misunderstanding on my end on what CRT is. Yes, we know that CRT is a legal framework, how it originated, where it originated, and where it's used in its pure form. So that's not my argument. My argument is that its concepts, like white privilege, made its way, into the curriculum, and that's where the problem is, through multiple ways. Some teachers bring those books, the BLM propaganda books. Some teachers do the staff development, like a privilege walk. Some teachers, there's also a social emotional learning right now, which sounds good, but they integrated that part into it, the privilege part. And it's everywhere. So no, they don't call it critical race theory. And you know, in House Bill 3979, it doesn't say critical race theory. It's just that its concepts, its ideas is what we are talking about, not the critical race theory in the K-12 curriculum. Duh, like, I knew that. Thank you, sir.
All right. So where do you guys, what do you guys have any plans for what to do next? Are you guys going to take this any higher? I mean, where do you guys think you're going to be able to go with this? Is this just kind of one of those, we need to reach out to everybody, we need to let people know about this? What are your guys' plans for next to do with this?
That is a great question. I sent a very long follow-up email to Dr. Roland Hernandez, and I was sincerely hoping for a response, which I didn't get. I did get a response from Dr. John Presas, though, and he said that he is not going to comment any further, as if he commented a whole lot on the personnel matters. So that was like basically, I'm done with you, girl. And Dr. Roland Hernandez did not feel like he would bestow me upon the gift of his response. And I'm not really sure. It's problematic. I spoke at the school board
Yeah, that's
meeting.
what I was going to ask you about. Have you guys been to the school board meetings? Have you brought this up with the school board?
Yes, I spoke at the school board meeting once, and I'm going to speak at the school board meeting, next school board meeting again and again and again. And we have a lot of upset parents that reach out to us almost every day. We have a lot of upset teachers that reach out to us, not every day just yet, but they do reach out, but they're scared, though. They're reasonably in fear that if they, you know, bring certain things to light, they're going to be in trouble. But yeah, you know,
So,
there's no plan, but yes, we're not stopping. If Dr. Hernandez thought that he intimidated me or anyone else, or that we're gonna shut up, that's not gonna happen. That's not happening. No, sir.
do you know when the next school board meeting is?
I think it's on August 9th.
August 9th?
Yes.
Okay, and that's for CCISD.
Yes, sir, that is CCISD, and it starts at 2:30 or 3:30, but public comment is usually at about 6, maybe sooner, maybe later. We don't know. When we were at the board meeting, unfortunately, they pulled this little thing on us. They made it at like 4:30. They said, well, the agenda stuff like moved real quick today, so... And Sean left. We had to call him. And, you know, some people didn't make it on time because we were expecting it to be at 6. But, you know, we're making adjustments.
Right. All right. Cool. Good to know. All right. So, Mila, if anybody wants to get involved, where can they go to get involved with like Moms for Liberty? When's your guys' next meeting? Are you guys having meetings right now? Like, what's going on with Moms for Liberty, and how can people get involved?
We have a website. It's Moms for Liberty CC, I want to say.
Yeah, momsforlibertycc.org. I've actually got it on the page right behind you
Yes.
right now. So.
We have Twitter, we have a Facebook group, so it's easy to find us. And we meet up every Thursday sometimes at Silverado. We used to meet up every Thursday at 6 p.m. at Silverado Smokehouse, but I think this week we're meeting up at Ara's Seafood on Staples, and we're just kind of...
Still at 6 o'clock?
Yes, at 6 o'clock on Thursday. That the time is always the same. The place could change because we were growing. There were more people showing up, and it kind of gets a little noisy at Silverado, so we're trying out Ara's. But yes, basically through Facebook, Twitter, website, any way, you know, you want to reach out, you can reach out. You can just show up at the meeting. We really prefer to talk to you first, you know, see what you're up to. If you have something to say, we could add you to the agenda, and that's where we're at.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So this is what I've been warning you guys about. This is what my speech was about that many of you have watched on critical race theory. This is what a lot of the articles we post about on the Facebook page. This is what all of this is about. We warned you that it would be coming to our schools. And even though Texas passed a bill, banning critical race theory, or at least in some form whatsoever, the stuff is still leaking in. These teachers recommended a book that is Black Lives Matter propaganda based on a false narrative about a real incident that actually happened, okay? We need to be paying attention. You need to be going to your school boards. You need to be going to the Moms for Liberty meetings. It's not just for moms, it's for guys and anybody, any parent of a school-age child, okay? You need to be getting involved in these groups. You need to be going to your school board meetings. You need to be paying attention to what your kids are bringing home. Pay attention to the homework that they're doing. Pay attention to their reading book lists. Look at this stuff. We cannot sit around and be lazy anymore. We are at the point where the spirit of the age is hitting a critical mass. They are going after your elementary school age children. This is not something that's just strictly on college campuses. This is something that is permeating every single aspect of the education system. The teachers are the one picking out these books. You've got the superintendents defending this kind of stuff. It's absolutely insanity. And the only way we're going to fix this is to get involved. Just like the Steve Days Show's theme this year is, the answer is us. And we are the only ones that are going to be able to fix this. We have to be paying attention. If you can get your kids out of these schools, do it. But I know a lot of us can't afford that. I'm in that exact same situation. I have to use the public education system because I don't have another option. I've got 4 kids. So please be paying attention. Get involved. Like this video, share it with your friends, let everybody know about the situation, let them know what's going on. This is in our back door. This is CCISD promoting this garbage. You need to get involved. You need to make your voice heard. You see the videos from these other school boards meetings of these people standing up, these parents, these individuals, these regular, common men and women out there, just like the channel says. They're standing up and saying something and pushing back against this. You don't have to be anybody special. You don't even have to be a good public speaker. Just take some notes and know your information. We will be back there. We will be there to support you. And if you don't want to stand up and speak, then go and support people like Mila and the rest of the Moms for Liberties groups that are going to these superintendent meetings. And even if you just want to sit there and be quiet, you can sit there in support of them. You can clap. You can cheer. You can hoorah when they say something that you agree with.
You cannot clap.
You can, okay, you can't clap, but
you can do this.
It happens. Okay, but make your voices heard. You have to get involved. You have to make a difference. We are not going to be able to just sit back. There is no one coming to save us. There is no Trump coming out of the back door. There is no Republican establishment. There are none of those people that are coming up behind us to do this. We are it. We are the vanguard. There is no one else coming to save us. If we don't get up and save our kids and stop this spirit of the age madness that has taken hold of every aspect of our institutions and every aspect of our lives, if we do not stop this, our lives and our society as we know it will be over. You see how the millennials act. You see how the Zoomers act. It's only going to get worse if we do not get our children out of the hands of these psychotic monsters. So once again, like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it with the news stations, share it with your school board. Let them know what's going on and let them know how this mother of children was treated by these 2 men, these 2 angry, self-righteous, educated men that thought they knew better than them or any other parent out there. Let your voice be heard. This is Jesse with the Common Man, Corpus Christi. Thanks, guys.